Hello, everyone, to the Power Bottom Hour. I'm Chrissy, and this is Michael.
What a way to start.
Yeah, the Power Bottom Hour.
We've been trying to determine the name for what we're gonna call this. So right now it's just gonna be called Cinema Gremlins. It might change later, but as of right now, that's what we're sticking with. Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Chrissy.
We do things, and today we wanted to talk about Halloweentown because we felt like it.
Yeah, we walked into this abandoned Cineplex, and for some reason, Disney Channel original movie Halloweentown is just right here on the stage, and we thought
just the poster. There's nothing behind it, and there's nothing in front of it. It's just the poster itself, just kind of floating there. It might be haunted, or it might just be held up by something in the ground. We don't know.
Yeah, but maybe it's held up by Debbie Reynolds' spirit. You know?
I thought you were about to say Demi Moore. I'm like, what, Demi Moore?
No. She's still alive, I think. But yes, Halloweentown. This is a childhood film of mine, and I'm assuming yours, as you were once a child.
I think I was.
The rumor does come out, was Michael a child?
Was I ever a child? I don't know. But I want to say that I did see this as a kid, maybe in school or maybe on TV. I don't 100% know. I want to say that I saw it on TV first and then subsequently watched it maybe in like second or third grade, because I know it came out in 98. So I definitely didn't see it when it was new, because I would have been 2 years old when this came out.
Yeah, this one is the first Halloweentown was 1998, so I was a whole one.
A whole one?
A whole one! And then the second one, which we may be talking about later, came out. I mean, it came out it came out the year of 9/11.
You want to repeat that?
Well, the worst part is it came out October 12th, 2001. If it came out one day,
almost exactly a month. Exactly a month.
Calabar came for his revenge. Cut this part. Anyways, so, Halloweentown 1. I remember seeing it. Back when they would do the spooky month Disney Channel original movie.
What did they call it? They called it something. I don't know if they changed the name every so often, but I feel like it had like a consistent name for a period of time.
Yeah, like Disney Jamboree or something like that.
Spooktacular or something like that.
I think it was Spooktacular. Because they would have like My Mom is Dating a Vampire, the Phantom at the Cineplex, Under Wraps, and then the Halloweentown movies would always be like that that big creme de la creme.
That was always the big one. I never watched any of the other ones, but that, like, Halloweentown was always the one I remember. I want to say that was the Disney Channel movie I saw the most on TV. That or Halloweentown 2, because I feel like I have more of a memory of Halloweentown 2.
Fun fact. The Halloweentown, like the first Halloweentown movie, was made, I think it was actually made by the person who directed the first Homeward Bound Incredible Journey movie. If I'm remembering.
Of course you know that. Of course you know that.
I'm going to fact check myself in a minute, but I feel like the first Halloweentown, not Calabar's Revenge, just the first one, because that was done by Dwayne Dunham, who also did a movie that I think we should talk about if we do a Christmas version of this, called Santa and Pete.
Santa and Pete? Is that like Fred Claus? Is that like on the same level of type of movie?
It's a movie starring James Earl Jones, and the whole summary of the movie, like the synopsis, is it talks about Saint Nicholas, and his black friend Pete, who he meets when he's arrested in Spain, and then And then Santa and Pete help quell the hostility between settlers and the Native Americans.
See, I want to say you're full of shit, but I've played the Disney Channel movie game with you, and now I don't know anymore.
No.
So
Santa and Pete is not a Disney Channel original movie.
Oh, it sure as hell sounds like it, given the stuff you've told me about some of the other movies.
Yeah, but I can prove to you that it's real. Let me send you the poster, and I'll put it up on screen for the recording. But yep, there's Santa and Pete.
Let me see this. Oh, I saw that. Okay, I was looking into the director, and I did see this poster. I did see this when I was looking into the director's work a couple days ago, because I wanted to know if this guy had done anything else of note. Holy shit! Santa and Pete, what have you come to tell us about?
Ooh. Ooh, James Earl Jones really needs to retire. Ooh. Oh, no, Santa and Pete, where are you going? No.
No.
Anyways, Halloweentown. But yeah, so I remember Halloweentown, along with like Hocus Pocus, was always like the big Disney Channel movie during Halloween, during the Spooktacular. Like that was like always the thing they would advertise the most. And to be fair, for a Disney Channel original movie, this was a very like high budget, well done Disney Channel original movie.
Let me talk to you about high budget, actually, because I learned something very interesting when I was digging into the behind the scenes of this film. Mm-hmm. Originally, this movie, now I don't know 100% how true this is, but from what I saw, apparently this movie was originally supposed to have like a $30 million budget.
Wow.
Which I hear that and I go, why didn't you just release it in theaters at that point if you were going to have it be that high budgeted?
I mean, like, it doesn't sound too far off nowadays, since we live in the land of streaming, where streamed shows can have, like, streaming movies.
No, but for a TV movie, that is such a high budget.
I know, like, but to be fair, this is Disney we're talking about, and I think Disney at least understood, because Disney Channel original movies, as we could see by this poster that Debbie Reynolds has blessed us in the Cineplex, is the poster for a Disney DVD. They really, Halloweentown apparently did really well on home media.
Oh, I'm not shocked. I remember like every school I went to when I was a kid had a VHS or DVD of this. Like,
but yeah,
or multiple.
Yeah, like, I always remember there was always Halloweentown, there was always Hocus Pocus, there was always Calabar's Revenge. And then when they released, like, 3 and 4, which we will not be talking about today.
No, we will not be talking about Halloweentown High or Return to Halloweentown, even though I did learn a very interesting thing about Return to Halloweentown, actually.
Oh, tell me about Return to Halloweentown.
Okay, so the main girl is not in it. She was replaced by another actor, and the little sister was replaced by another actor. Also, Debbie Reynolds is only in the movie for a scene, apparently.
Yeah, she's like a hologram. She basically does her daughter in Star Wars, and is just like a little magical gold glinted hologram.
But I guess the main actress doesn't fully know the reason why they recast her. Like, apparently she was never asked, from what she said. She was never asked, from what she said.
Yeah, because the original actor is Kimberly J. Brown, who played Marcy. Yeah. I don't see the point in recasting the little girl, because, like, that's it. When you play, like, a little girl, and the main character is basically, the main character's going to college. When you're the youngest one, you can just grow up with your role, because it's already showing an influx of time. But we're not talking about Return to Halloween.
The weirder thing is Joey Zimmerman came back. That's the weirder thing to me, is they didn't recast all the kids. They recast just the 2 girls.
Yeah, it's not like... I don't understand. It's not like Kimberly was really busy. I mean... When did Return to Halloweentown come out? Like in the late early
2006, I think Return to Halloweentown came out.
Her last, like 2006, the only thing she did was she was in Big Bad Wolf. Like, I don't, dumb.
Anyway, back to the first movie.
Yeah, so anyways, I guess, like, for people who have never seen Halloweentown, so you probably were not raised in America, or, you know, you had very strict parents who thought Harry Potter was promoting Satanism.
I was gonna say, probably religious parents that thought Halloween was Satanism, like that kind of stuff.
I mean, like, the thing is that, like, it kind of has those themes a little bit with, because the plot is, these three kids... Yeah, these three kids, Marnie, the little Marnie, and the boy.
I forgot the other two too. I just remember Marnie. That's the only name I remember. I thought it was Maggie when I wrote it in my notes, and then I was in the middle of watching Halloweentown 2, and I had written Maggie like 6 times, and I realized like near the end, I'm like, oh, it's Marnie. I kept thinking it was Maggie.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, totally not looking at the Wikipedia during this to fact check. Marnie, Dylan, and Sophie.
I wanted to say Aggie, but I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah, so these 3 kids have this grandma who visits us around Halloween, and it's obvious that the mom and the grandma don't get along, but they discover that the family are actually a family of witches and warlocks, and Debbie Reynolds, who plays Agatha, who is the name of the grandma, lives in Halloweentown, and the mom, Gwen, basically just took her kids.
She left her life to marry a human, and basically kept the secret from her children that her and her mother are witches.
Yeah, and basically trying to keep the kids from accessing their powers and suppressing them, even though I think, like, Sophie is the first one to actually show potential in having witch powers.
Well, yeah, they show the cookie floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show like a cookie floating at one point.
Yeah, so they and Agatha tells the story of Halloweentown and all this stuff. Shenanigans, they run away. They're in Halloweentown, this land of monsters and goblins and all this kind of stuff. And if I remember correctly, they have to get home. And I think the mom follows them to Halloweentown too at some point.
No, okay. So what happens is they follow the grandmother on the bus to Halloweentown, and the bus only comes around once a year. Mm-hmm. It basically only comes to Earth like once a year. So they follow her on the bus, and I forget how the mom finds out. I think she like goes up to like the kids' room and they're gone, and she's just like, that motherfucker, and she like opens a portal to Halloweentown or something, because they show them doing that in the second movie too.
Yeah, but yeah, and then Gwen's like super mad, being like, say goodbye to your grandmother forever and all this, but they're stuck there, and they find out that, like, the mom used to date the mayor, Calabar,
which is totally not a villain name.
Yeah, I mean,
Calabar.
Calabar sounds like a kielbasa kebab.
Oh, I need to point out the mom is Judith Hoag, who was April O'Neil in the Ninja Turtles movies in the 90s.
Yeah, very, very beautiful woman.
It looks a lot like Jodie Benson. Like a lot like Jodie Benson.
She really does. She really does, though. But yeah, the kids go on these adventures to try to find the, to try to get the children's back to town and get the right ingredients and all this to light this talisman.
Well, you skipped the part where Emperor Palpatine, Phantom of the Opera, shows up and has been like freezing citizens of Halloweentown, basically holding them hostage in this theater, and life
force into suspended
animation. Yeah, and he gets Debbie Reynolds and the mom, and Debbie Reynolds is like, you need to finish the concoction, blah, and then she like freezes, and then they go on a fetch quest to get all 3 things that they need.
Yeah, and also they had like this weird, if this shows, I actually have not seen Halloweentown in like a year or something, so, and I didn't watch it before we did this because I felt like it was funnier for you to have the fresher memory than I was
gonna say, I'm the fresh one here. I watched it like 3 days ago.
It shows what things retain after a year. Like, they have this arc that they don't really develop, but it has some kind of resolution at the end that Dylan is supposed to be like, oh, he's the one who doesn't have powers, but then they show
they abandoned that in the second movie. They completely abandoned that
in the third movie because he says, oh, he doesn't have powers, but then he has powers again. Like, they're so wishy-washy on if the war.
Yeah, no, in the second movie, they full on fucking abandon him having powers. They never do anything with him.
Yeah, which is so dumb because, like, that's supposed to be like that's a big thing at the end of this movie of like because Sophie and Marnie are trying to activate the you know, the light of the town.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah, to defeat him, but there's not enough power. But then Dylan shows he has powers, and then whoosh. But yeah, cool that you had this resolution that you don't use in the second movie. But
also, yeah. Yeah. No, you go. I was gonna say I had a second thing with my notes here. So.
Oh no, the only other thing to finish up the story is that there's also a character named Luke who's a goblin.
Yeah.
Played by Philip.
Well, he looks like a normal kid for most of the movie. Yeah. Yeah,
and apparently, like, he doesn't do acting anymore. Like, he stopped acting in 2003. So...
Fun fact, that kid took over for Torrin Cottle in Hey Arnold in season 2 and 3. Yeah.
Also the Prince in Bartok the Magnificent.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that one. I just knew about the Hey Arnold connection, which I thought was really weird.
The one Don Bluth movie where Don Bluth was actually involved in a sequel.
The one Don Bluth movie where they just said fuck it and put as much fetishy shit in as they could.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's also that guy, and I guess he's like Marnie's love interest further on in the franchise.
They say love it. They imply a love interest thing at the end, but they don't develop it at all. Like through the whole movie, they just kind of throw it at you. At the end,
Halloweentown 2.
Oh, they do a lot more with it in Halloweentown too, but it's just so weird to me that they kind of throw that in last minute when he becomes the goblin, when they reveal he's a goblin, because it just kind of felt like there was more to this and you just cut a lot of it out.
But yeah, and then at the end, Gwen and Agatha decide that Marnie's going to be a witch. Agatha stays in the mortal world, all this stuff, you know. Whatever Sophie and Dylan wants, who cares? Let's ignore the fact that we introduced 3 implied to be powerful warlock and witches, and that's it. That's Halloweentown. That's the movie.
It's okay.
It's a cute movie. Like, I do love a lot of the monster masks and effects. And
this is the one thing I actually give Halloweentown 2, even though I think Halloweentown 2 is better. I give Halloweentown a lot more credit in that they actually had more of Halloweentown in it. Mm-hmm. Like I like that they go around to different places in Halloweentown and they meet different characters and you see, I will admit some of it looks kind of cheap because some of it's literally they just put a makeup head on a guy and did nothing else with them. It's just like they didn't do anything else to some of the makeup effects, but it still looks pretty good for TV budget.
It's a nice level of cheese. But I think yeah.
I think they spent most of their budget on Benny, because can we talk about Benny? I fucking love Benny, even though he's only in like 2 scenes.
I mean, you do know who he is, right? He's Eduardo in the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's Reno. I was gonna say it's Reno Romano, and I think his first LA credit, like his first American credit because he was a Canadian actor prior to moving to LA.
Was he
and I
not,
think that he was Tuxedo Mask in the original Sailor Moon dub.
Yeah, I was like, wait, it wasn't the Batman? Because he also played Batman in the Batman.
No, he had already had a few credits prior to that. He was Spider-Man 5 years before the Batman in the PS1 game.
Yeah, so I get, yeah, because I guess all the everything else before that would have been Canada.
I wonder if I want to say the production might have been a Canadian mix, because in Halloweentown 2, Blue Man Kuma is in it, and he is explicitly a Vancouver working actor. So I wonder if these were like dual productions.
I mean, the movie was filmed in various parts of Oregon. And
right, but
so and according to the Wikipedia, it says it was a United States production, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have like they had like dual citizenship for the cast and crew.
Yeah, but Benny, I feel like most of their effects budget went into Benny because that animatronic is way too good for a TV movie.
I mean, it's no surprise given that it comes from the company of Imagineers who have like made the realm of animatronics the way it is today, because it is Disney.
Which they actually make a pretty it's so bad, but it made me laugh. They make a joke about what Dylan, the boy. Yeah. When they get out of the taxi the first time and they get to Debbie Reynolds' like witch house, he just goes, "Yeah, it's probably animatronic. They do a lot of those at Disneyland."
It's a good line. I don't care how bad it is. It's good.
Oh, it's so cheesy. It's such a wink to the camera line, but I laughed.
It's like pizza, though. Even bad is good. But I fully find this it's just a nice movie. Like, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel in any way, shape, or form. I do think it kind of benefits from not being a theatrical movie, even with the budget that it had. Because I would have wanted to see, I'm curious as to what the movie would have looked like if they were given the $30 million budget. Like, what movies what is 30 million in 1998 money to now? Because like I'm trying to think of films made in 1998 that would have had an equatable budget and what could have it been, you know? Well, let's see. Movies that came out in 98, at least notable ones. I don't know. Let me see what the budget of Small Soldiers was. That came out the same year. 40 million. 40 million. So maybe we would have gotten something in the realm of Small Soldiers. I mean, I like Small Soldiers, but I do wonder how much better the makeup would have been if they had a higher budget on the film. They should have made it give it the budget of Nothing But Trouble. I mean, Nothing But Trouble was like 40 million too. I mean, back then you could do a lot with 30-40 million. Like, you could do a lot back then with that kind of budget. Yeah, I mean, like, also inflation, 30 million back then is probably like 45 million now, probably like 45, 50 million. Yeah, 30 million 1998 to 2021. Well, I'm looking, The Truman Show had a $60 million budget, and that also came out the same year. Yeah. I'm actually kind of shocked. I would think Truman Show would have like a little bit of a smaller budget. Yeah, but you know what? Who would have known? But yeah, do you have any notes about Halloweentown 1 that you'd care to share, Mr. Fresh Eyes? Before you bring that up, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas had a budget of 19 million and came out the same year. Yeah, now I'm really interested to what this would have looked like. Yeah, I just saw, I was like, okay, that had a budget of 19 million. What the fuck would this would have looked like with 30 million? Yeah. But yeah, no. In terms of 30 million back then is 50.3 million today. So that's about the budget Truman Show had back then. Yeah. But yeah, what are your notes, Mr. Fresh Eyes?
I guess I guess not really a big problem, but just something the movie keeps alluding to, but I don't think they really follow up on. The movie keeps saying, oh, Marnie's so fucking weird. She's so obsessed with Halloween and she's such a weird and crazy person. She's not weird. Like the whole movie, she's not portrayed as being awkward or quirky. Like she's just kind of the every girl. Like
she's like that trend on TikTok of the pick me girl, like the main character kind of girl. But it's also just the fact of there's no real like juxtaposition between Marnie with other people in the human realm to herself.
Right. At least not to there's a part that's needed. There's a part at the beginning where there's these two girls that are going to trick-or-treating, like come over, they're friends of hers, I guess, and they're just like, oh, she's so into Halloween and she's so weird, and like and her brother constantly makes fun of her for being weird, and it's just that thing was like, yeah, but she's not weird. The movie never portrays her as being weird.
Like, yeah, it's like it's the fact that because it's such a focused movie on the family, which I guess shows family dynamics pretty well compared to other films that involve, brothers and sisters having to interact a lot. But there's no point of reference between how weird like Agatha and the witch crew are compared to everyone else. Especially for people who don't realize that this is a Disney film. The dad is dead, so right. You have no.
They don't mention him a lot either. They only bring him up maybe like 3 times.
Yeah, the only reason for him to be a human is so Gwen went to the human realm, and that's
so we can have a plot. Basically, yeah, that's the reason.
And that Gwen can say like, oh, they probably don't have powers because their dad is a human. But yeah.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I wrote down in my notes, Debbie Reynolds is perfect in this movie. Like
she is. This was the role she was born to play. I wish, God rest her soul, imagine her as Scary Godmother if they ever made a live action Scary Godmother movie. This is the closest we would ever get to a live action Scary Godmother is Debbie Reynolds in Halloweentown.
Debbie Reynolds is a fucking sweetheart. Like every time I see her, my one problem that I think both movies have is they sideline her for a very long time in both movies, because she's in both of them for a fair amount, and then they sideline her for a very long time at one point.
Yeah, because they have to sideline her because she's an old lady. She's not hip with the kids. Like,
no, I understand why they have to. It just seems so weird that they build her up as being this very powerful witch, and she doesn't really do a lot in either movie.
Yeah, and she gets clotheslined so fast because in this one, Calabar. I mean, the fucking
Emperor Palpatine, ghost.
Emperor Palpapoo, fucking turns her grayscale, and in the second movie, pretty much the same thing happens, and it's and it's so it doesn't make sense because like they imply that Marnie is going to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than her mom and Debbie Reynolds.
They're literally Anakin Skywalkering her, basically. Like Luke Skywalkering her. Like,
yeah, but it's like her being the weird kid, there's no point of reference because you keep sidelining the things that are supposed to be the point of references.
There's a very interesting casting thing I learned about the movie, actually, while I was watching it. So when I was going through the credits when the film had ended, I noticed a name in there, and I was like, Kenneth Choi. Where have I heard the name Kenneth Choi? So I looked it up. I expected maybe he was a voice actor or something, and I just heard his name a few times. I looked him up. No, Kenneth Choi is a fairly well-known character actor, TV actor. He was a recurring. He plays the guy that sells the brooms, the broom salesman that Debbie Reynolds and the Marnie meet in the town. There's like a whole scene dedicated to him.
Mm-hmm.
And He played the judge in the People versus O.J. Simpson, the Cuba Gooding Jr. show.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a recurring character on Sons of Anarchy, and he was in Captain America and Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about the Captain America thing is he plays, I think, one of the soldiers that Cap helps out when he frees Dum Dum Dugan, like his patrol. And in Spider-Man: Homecoming, he plays the principal at the high school, and again, there's a whole scene dedicated to him. And you notice there's a picture on his desk, and it's the same character from Captain America. So he's playing his grandson.
He's
playing yeah,
because he's also the judge in the People versus OJ, right?
Right, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it took me a minute to be like, wait.
Yeah. And he plays the broom salesman, and he plays the broom salesman. This was his first movie, actually.
Do you think he ever thinks about, man, look how far I've come? Thank you.
Look how far I've come. That one scene where I had to put on this weird zombie makeup for a day.
His character's name is Hip Sales Creature.
Hip Sales, yeah, but I call him the broom salesman because that's what he does in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, the name is stupid. But, like...
That's why I didn't want to say hip salesman.
But I wonder if he looks like, the Wolverine meme picture from the animated series of him.
Where he's holding the picture frame.
Thank you, Debbie. You gave me my start. But, yeah. I think Halloweentown, it ages like fine cheese, not bad stinky cheese, but like it's some stuff is obviously a product of its time in just how TV films were made back then. But I still think it's more timeless than others because, well, a lot of it takes place in Halloweentown itself, because not a lot of it takes place in the human world at all. So it's there's not a lot of like cell phones, Macintosh computers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do some computer stuff in the second movie, but thank God it's only like one scene, and it's not. It's like right at the beginning, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like kids today could enjoy it just on a, it's a fun little Halloween movie.
I have one problem with it, and I think it's the villain is really weak.
Oh, Calabar?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that the twist of him being the villain felt kind of cheap. I don't know. It felt like there wasn't... it felt like they weren't building up his motivation, honestly, and it just kind of felt almost out of left field.
Well, his motivation is that he got cucked by a human.
Yeah, and that was a really weak motivation for what he ends up doing.
It's like, Gwen, you didn't marry me. You married a human, even though we dated when we were teenagers.
It's weird because
the mortal realm because
it feels so. It felt so overblown to me, and also when he changes, why did he look like Emperor Palpatine? I still don't understand why he took that form.
Yeah, it's not like he needed to... I mean, I guess...
Yeah, he didn't need to hide his identity, really.
Yeah, especially since the whole thing was that he was trying to persuade the townspeople by the time he got revealed to take over the mortal realm.
Right, so, and he freezes everybody anyway, so it's not like anybody's gonna say anything.
What kind of espionage are you committing here, Calabar? Jesus. It's like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just thought he was super weak. I just thought he wasn't that interesting, and they just kind of... just a really weak villain.
Yeah. They improve upon it in Halloweentown 2. I personally...
Oh, no. The villain is so much better in Halloweentown 2.
Yeah, I prefer Halloweentown 2, but, I mean... do you have any more notes about Halloweentown 1? Because I feel like I have more to say about Halloweentown 2.
Yeah, I feel I do too. I think it's okay. I think it's a movie where I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It's not great, but I'd say in comparison to TV movies, it's honestly pretty good.
If you want some premium Debbie Reynolds content, at least 10 minutes of this is worth your time. Did you die?
No, I'm still here. I just didn't have anything to say.
No, your icon was bouncing like you were talking, but nothing came out.
Well, that's because I was fanning myself because it's hot in here. So.
But with that, let's move to. Ooh, oh my goodness, it's Halloween!
Oh shit! Oh my god! Holy shit! It changed.
Oh my god, the pumpkin's aggressive. I'm getting out of here.
Oh god! Oh no! 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 Oh god! There she is. Chrissy, come out.
I'm sorry. I was scared.
Come out.
No.
Come out.
Okay.
Are you okay?
I'm sorry, the pumpkin spooked me. Anyway, Halloweentown 2, Galabar's Revenge. 2001, so this was a solid...
3 years.
3 years? Yeah, so... And I was a solid 4 at this point.
I was 5.
Yes. So, again, this was something that would always be in marathons. You wouldn't have a Halloweentown 1 without a Halloweentown 2. And I would argue, I think I saw Halloweentown 2 air more than the original Halloween.
I actually have a very interesting thing that happened when I was watching that movie. So when I was watching it, I was just like, yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen, I keep in mind, I hadn't seen either of these movies in about 15 something years. So they weren't very fresh in my mind. But when it got to the climax, I was like, oh my god, I buried this in my head. Like when it got to the party, when they're all wearing masks and they all start like shape-shifting, I remember the shot where the mom turns into that goblin thing, and like this wave of nostalgia like flooded over me when I saw that shot. Because I was like, oh my god, I remember they used to use that shot in commercials in October all the fucking time on Disney Channel.
Because she convulses and shit too, like it. Cause
no, it's I were talking about the climax first briefly, I guess, but the climax of Halloweentown 2 is genuinely intense. Like I was kind of surprised how hard it went for a kids like TV movie.
Yeah, it's this one definitely does the good sequel thing of raising the stakes. So you go from the movie where the mortal world could have been taken over by a guy who was mad at getting cucked to essentially the world's getting flipped around. So by the son of Calabar, which how did that work?
Who? Yeah, they never explain. They never explain who his mother is.
About getting cucked, he had a kid, so that means he got laid at least once.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing I found really bizarre about the film is they never explain who the mom was, and they never explain. They don't really go into the villain's childhood or anything, and I was like, okay, where the fuck were you in the first movie?
It's kind of like the Kovu thing where they don't really, I mean, at least Kovu has the implication that Scar just impregnated one of the, Outlander lions in his little cult of lions or something.
Yeah, like there's this weird in-between story that we never saw. Like that's like that was one of my gripes with Halloweentown 2 is I thought it was just very bizarre that we get the son of the villain in the first movie and they never explain where he was in the first movie or who the mom is. Like we don't learn anything about him. Basically,
I feel like it would have been better if they did it kind of like how in DuckTales, how they did what's her name?
Della?
Magica, like her
with Lena.
Shadow.
Lena and Magica.
How Lena's just kind of like a shadow clone creature, like a symbiote, basically.
Yeah, I think it would have made. Well, and his name is fucking Cal.
Yeah, so just say that Cal is just the remnants of Calabar's essence or something. I mean, the guy is magic. He could probably do that.
Like, made a shadow clone, younger version of himself. Like,
yeah. So I feel like that would have been better, but you know, we're telling a movie that is 10 years old now how to rework its plot to be more cohesive.
You mean 20?
Oh God.
You said 10. I'm like, you mean 20? The movie turns 20 this year.
No. Michael, no. Michael, say it isn't so. Michael.
I was sitting here when you said 10 years, and I was like, should I crush her soul? Get out from under there. Get out. No, you get back here.
Okay. Anyways, the plot of Halloweentown 2, because we talked about so basically this is like a 2-year time jump.
And they do a recap at the beginning. I thought was really interesting. They open with a recap of the first movie.
Yeah, because people forgot in the last 3 years about some...
Even though they probably aired it on TV like every year after it came out.
What's funny is that this is one of the few times where a movie actually has a realistic time jump to the production time of the movie and in universe, because this movie came out 3 years after the first one, and in the movie's canon it was 2 years. That's not too far apart. We've had movies that say that it's a year apart in canon time that took 5 years. So... good on you, Halloweentown 2. But yeah, so there's like weird magical things happening within like Agatha's spell book and all this stuff. And when they go to Halloweentown to see what's going on, the world basically becomes a sadder version of Pleasantville.
Well, you missed you missed this part. So the movie opens with the family having a Halloween party. And Marnie meets this dude named Cal, and he's pretty. So it's the early 2000s, so she automatically likes him. So she shows him around the house, and she shows him her grandma's room, and he sees the spell book, and he's like, hey, what the fuck's this? And she's like, hey, don't touch that. Basically, she's bullshitting that her grandma's not a witch by just saying her grandma's really into Halloween stuff, which is why her room has all this like stuff on the shelves. And then Cal takes the book and then goes back to Halloweentown with the book.
Yeah. So and now we go to sadder Pleasantville. Because the whole world turned black and white. All the inhabitants are like these sad, monotonous humans. Everyone's in black and white. Luke is basically, the gray spell kind of.
All the monsters have basically turned into humans.
And turned into their actors. They got a different makeup during shooting.
This movie did not get Reno Romano back as Benny, therefore I'm mad. So
so Dylan and Sophie are still in the human world, and meaning that they're barely in the movie. They're trying to find the spell book and all this stuff.
Well, they're the B plot. They're the B plot when Cal goes back to the human world. Yeah.
So essentially, the big main plot is that Marnie and Luke, with some help from Aggie, but again, like everything that they do with Debbie Reynolds in these movies, they have to sideline her near.
Like once we get to the halfway point, they have to sideline her.
Yeah. So they have to go and find. They have to go find like the spell book or something to reverse the spell, but it's lost. And
well, what happened is Grandma's house Grandma's witch house in Halloweentown now looks like a normal house, like a sitcom style house. And Luke looks like a human. And what happens is she's having a conversation with Grandma, and something happens that turns him back when they're talking. And Agatha explains that everything that gets lost ends up at Gort's place. I want to say it's Gort. I'm pretty sure it's Gort.
Yeah, his name is Gort.
And basically they explain, everything that gets lost, like your keys, your wallet, basically if you lose something, it ends up in his lawn or it ends up in his house.
It's like a Halloweentown version of the whole thing of the trolls that steal the sock that gets lost in the laundry.
Yeah, he steals basically everything that goes missing ends up in his house. Yeah, and so they go to his house to get the book.
Gort, though.
Blue Man Kuma.
Yeah, he is. If people who saw the Gen 4 Pony show, he was a Flutter guy.
For the first appearance, he was Flutter guy.
Yeah, for the first appearance, and he was also in the original RoboCop too.
And also, he was for Transformers fans, he was Tigatron in Beast Wars.
Yeah, and he was wasn't he also Gigabyte in Reboot?
No, that was Tony J.
No, he was Gigabyte. He was just uncredited.
I was thinking of what was Tony J's character? Was it Megabyte? It was Megabyte, right?
Yeah, I think it was Megabyte.
Yeah. Blue Man Kuma was Gigabyte, and also off the top of my head, the other thing I can think of that Blue Man Kuma, he's done a lot of voiceover work in Canada. Yeah,
he did G.I. Joe. He did fucking
the G.I. Joe Extreme.
Yeah, he did Extreme Dinosaurs. He was
the Colonel. If you've seen League of Superheroes, he was the sergeant on the show, the recurring character.
He did additional voices for Sonic Underground. He was Lord.
He was the deep voice of Bibble in one of the Barbie movies.
Yeah, he was in He-Man. He was
I think he's retired. I think he might be retired. He hasn't done voiceover work in a long time.
He did something.
I was gonna say I don't think he's done voiceover in a long time. I think he's retired from that.
Yeah, but point being, like, the guy is actually very prolific, and it's sad that he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. But yeah, so they go into Gort's, like, bottomless pit of a realm that is his house. And but sadly, he's already been discolored, so he
becomes the opposite of what he is, so he becomes a neat freak.
Yeah, and Agatha starts to lose her color, and as you do when you are a monotonous old lady, you have fun sorting through socks.
Even though I love the line where they start sorting through socks, and Marty just goes, he's like, "Make sure you match the correct socks, Gort. None of them match, Grandma." Like...
Yeah, that is this. You know how you said the scene with the goblin mask is the thing that's imprinted in your head from this movie? Debbie Reynolds and Blue Man.
Debbie Reynolds counting socks is what's in your head.
Yes, because she was so genuinely happy doing it in that scene. It just stuck with me. But that's because Debbie Reynolds is a treasure. God rest her soul. But yeah.
Also, can I talk about how Luke looks like fucking Carrot Top?
Yes, you can.
I just remember when they showed, because Luke, everybody in the movie has aged several years. Luke aged like fucking 10 years based on this movie.
Puberty hit Philip Van Dyke like a fucking ton of bricks.
I was gonna say, like, in the first movie, he's like 11, 12. In this movie, he looks like he's like 25, which I'm pretty sure the actor was.
Yeah, like, and the thing is, again, only 3 years of production time. Something hit someone.
Maybe goblins just age quicker. I don't know, but I just remember the second they show. Oh, it's the same actor.
Yeah, Philip Van Dyke played him for both Halloween.
Oh, I thought that was a completely different actor, honestly, because again, he looked like he was like 25.
No, puberty just hit him like a truck.
But yeah, I just remember when they first showed him, I was just like, oh my god, did they get Carrot Top for the role? Like, he looks exactly like Carrot Top.
I know.
Like, and I'm talking early, not current Carrot Top. He looks like early Carrot Top.
Yeah, not
buff makeup, buff weird eyeliner, plastic surgery Carrot Top, like mid '90s Carrot Top.
Oh my god, Luke looks weird now just because he looks like a actual person. This is what our Goblin Boy turned into.
Oh my god. He looks kind of like a bootleg Freddie Prinze Jr.
He does. He looks like if Freddie Prinze Jr. didn't keep his blonde. Like
he looks like he's fucking like he is pushing 40. I was gonna say, look at him there. Like, he looks like he's in his mid-40s in that picture.
He looks like he really enjoys like tacos on Long Beach.
Okay, he was several years older than Marnie. He was like 17 when the movie came out, so he wasn't like 14 or he wasn't like 15 like she was when they filmed.
Yeah, but the point being, puberty hit him like a ton of bricks. But yeah, so besides that, they went back in time. Like, time travel's also a part of this now because to go back to Gort's house before the gray spell happened, and then but then
most of the movie is them just looking through his house. That's most of the movie.
And then they find out that Gort already sold the spell book to Calabar, and it's just so like. What's stupid is to me the twist is stupid. The spoiler alert to people.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the twist was stupid and that we spend 25 minutes in Gort's house only to find out we had no reason to stay here this long.
Yeah, the twist is, that the spell can be reverted by speaking backwards. So basically,
I don't know. I don't know. For this, I kind of liked that idea. I don't know. It just seemed stupid enough that it worked for me.
I mean, it's good, except the whole fact that we spent 25 minutes in a house we didn't need to be in.
Yeah, the weird thing is that you'd think that we're being negative. I like the movie more than the first one.
Same. I love Halloweentown too, but you got to admit, on an objective level, this is a very clunky act 2.
It's weird. Well, again, it's kind of my one problem with one of my big problem with the movie is that for being a sequel to Halloweentown, we don't really see a lot of Halloweentown in it. We stay in this house for most of the movie.
Yeah, like, I feel like, especially if you were going to do the whole time travel thing, and it's like, oh, they sold the book to Calabar. You're in Halloweentown before the gray spell. You could have still looked around Halloweentown. Like, I just felt like...
And also, and honestly, you could have had a Back to the Future 2 moment where they run into Calabar again. Like, they could have...
Yeah. It's just kind of like, it's one of those things. Or you could have, like... Okay, you know how we said that it would have been more interesting if Cal was actually like a shadow or soul-based thing of the original Calabar? If that was the thing we saw during the time travel segment, is Calabar doing the spell. That would...
Yeah, and also they're kind of really inconsistent because Cal can see fucking everything from how this movie treats it, like, which I find really odd because it seems to happen only when it's convenient that he can see everything that's happening. Because there's a point where they're in Gort's house and he says like, well, you're not gonna stop me, my plan's already in motion, blah 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 blah, bye bye. Like, he only seems to know everything that's going on when it's convenient, so it just seems really weird that he doesn't know all this other shit's going on.
And just to say, I like the character of Cal. Like, his performance is really good. Surprising.
He's more intriguing of a character like, which I think helps that we have, which I liked this because I even wrote this in my notes. I said I like that we have a villain at the start. We don't have to wait to get to the villain, like in the end of the second act.
Yeah, like it really was just like, here it is, here's what we're gonna do. There's no like, oh, look at this nice man. Oh wait, the nice man's actually a bad man. Wow.
And his plan doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like,
wow. But yeah, so also there's Cal's fake dad is played by the doctor from Catwoman.
What the? Okay, see, I didn't look up who played the dad. I just kind of assumed he was just a TV guy, so I didn't really look him up.
It's Peter Wingfield, who played not only Dr. Ivan Slavicki in Catwoman. He also
Why the fuck do you know that?
He also played Crow in Baby Geniuses 2 Super Babies.
Ew! What a sad career for this guy.
He's had a very good career on TV. I mean, he wasn't.
I was gonna say, what a sad film career.
Hey, he got to be in Highlander.
I was waiting for you to say he got to be in Highlander 2. Like that's not an upgrade.
Excuse me, he was in Highlander Endgame. And Highlander.
That's not an upgrade.
He was Methos, thank you very much, and he was also in X2. Everyone's favorite
X2. I want to see what his character in X2 was.
Striker Soldier Linman.
I was waiting for you to say Soldier number 2. I'm like, oh.
The point being, he's in this as like a golem that's supposed to distract the mom.
It annoyed the shit out of me because they couldn't decide what to say. They kept saying Gollum or Golem, and it was driving me insane. I'm like, you can't pick a fucking word.
Or
pick a fucking no. They say Gollum at one point like 2 times. I'm like, pick a fucking pronunciation, please. It's driving me crazy.
But yeah, so basically, while Cal turned Halloweentown into town, he's turning
Pleasantville.
Into Pleasantville. He's basically turning everyone in the mortal world into the Wikipedia literally describes it as a monster movie caricature of Halloweentown. So everyone's costumes become like in the classic movies Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King.
I mean, it's not a new idea. There was a Fairly Odd Parents Halloween special that did that too, where the costumes become like the actual person.
Yeah, with the real and scary. But it's point being like they turn it the mom turns into the goblin and all that.
Horrifying fucking transformation. I mean, yeah, it's a dissolve like liquefy transformation, but it's legitimately fucking creepy how they do it. Yeah. And she fucking like screams like when it happens too, like a banshee scream.
Yeah, and like the third, as much as we complained about the second act, the third act is amazing. Like
it's amazing. For the lack of makeup effects throughout a lot of the movie, like they compensate for it very heavily in the climax.
It's also like you just feel how hopeless Marnie feels near the end, because like she can't free Debbie Reynolds. The portal closes. They're trapped in Halloweentown. Marnie is just like, no. She contacts the siblings to like make a new spell to make the portal open up again, and to open up, basically do what Cora did and open up the spirit world to the normal.
Yeah, basically open the two worlds together, which I find weird because I'm like that's what Calabar wanted to do. Like,
yeah, but see, the good guys did it, so it's not more.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, but I thought that was kind of weird in this movie. Like, but that's what Calabar wanted to do. Why is this now suddenly not a problem?
I mean,
and even then, I don't know why it was a problem in the first movie either.
Well, because Calabar wanted to do it over the sense that Halloweentown would take over the mortal world. Which, by the way, It's Halloweentown, not Halloween World. How is one town going to take over the entire
Yeah,
place?
that's the thing. When his plan makes no fucking sense. No matter how I think about his plan, it makes no fucking sense because number one, there's only like maybe 200, 300 people in this town. Two, it's not like Nightmare Before Christmas where there's literal worlds dedicated to these things, which is weird because they imply that this is a different world almost,
like cross dimension kind of thing.
Yeah, but they don't show anything other than Halloweentown, so we don't know if there's more of these creatures or not.
Yeah, like it's kind of like it's like Scary Godmother logic where we only see
We only see the house. We never see anything other than the house.
It's the thing of like I guess the thing is that like Calabar wanted to do it to just like take over the world. Meanwhile, Marnie is doing it to basically try the world, which makes it more morally better, I guess. But
Change the world.
Change the world.
My final message. Goodbye.
But they try to tackle this in the third movie, which we're not going to go into because the third movie is so dull. But like yeah, the third act is amazing because there's like a really good like confrontation scene between Cal and Marnie, and Cal making these serpent vines and dark magic and all this stuff.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like that because it felt very rushed when that happened. Because it just kind of felt like, here, take the books, and then she takes them, and then he's like, no! And then he just fucking disappears. Like, when that happened, I genuinely was like, what the fuck? Did he die? I don't understand what happened when that happened.
This would have been made better if we found out that Cal was just an embodiment of Calabar's magic.
Yeah, they don't explain if... Is he in the other movie? Is he in the third one?
I don't remember, because Cal is just sent away by the vines.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I didn't understand what had happened when I watched that scene. I was like, did he just fucking die? Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't understand if he like died or he disappeared or what happened.
If you look at the Halloweentown 2 Wikipedia page, the plot ends with Cal will return for his revenge. That's the end of the plot.
Oh no, I know. Well, I know because I looked it up. Because I wanted to know what the fuck happened. Because I didn't understand what had happened.
Cal doesn't appear in the third movie, especially since the third movie is basically just like the portals are open and it's just a bunch of these monster kids trying to assimilate into the mortal world. And it's just kind of like...
It's a high school drama with magic.
Yeah. It's a high school tolerance drama. Like it's
not good like Sky High.
Yeah, like there's no, like the whole point of the third movie is just like, you know, you're trying to improve relations between these two lands through it's Equestria Girls.
I love you had that realization. It's Equestria Girls.
Yeah, like it's just...
Yeah, no, like, okay, I looked it up. He does not appear in the other two movies. So yeah, he's dead. He's just dead, I guess.
Who wrote the Halloweentown 2 Wikipedia page and ended it with the Thanos will return-esque last sentence of Cal will get his revenge?
Yeah, from what it looks like, yeah, no, he does not appear in the other two movies. He does not appear.
Unless they decide to make... I don't ever think that they would, but...
Halloweentown 5 or a Halloweentown reboot.
Well, because that's the one thing is that Philip Van Dyke says that he's always open to return as Luke if there was another Halloweentown movie. Personally, I guess this is a good transit... You know what? We'll talk about what we would want in another Halloweentown movie afterward. Because I feel like you have notes about Halloween.
So what, do like a Candyman where we just forget the sequels happened? Basically, just forget everything after the second, or like Terminator, just forget everything after the second movie.
Yeah, like it's like what Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be for not acknowledging that the 2016 movie happened. That it's just
there was a 2016 movie.
Exactly.
No, you're serious? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
The girl one.
There was a girl Ghostbusters movie?
Yeah, with SNL cast members.
That sounds fucking horrible.
It wasn't great. IMO. But like but yeah, do you have any notes about Halloweentown 2 since you watched it recently?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I watched them both back to back. I guess the way they did the Pleasantville shit was really good for a TV budget. I was really surprised how well they did the color correcting on the black and white.
Oh yeah, and it was very, because for people who haven't seen the movie, they Marnie and Agatha, and when Luke changes back, is colored while everyone else is black and white. And
also, another thing I gotta add to with Luke and Marnie, I actually like that they try to give them chemistry. To me, it still didn't feel like a romance, but it felt like they actually were friends. Like, I like that they actually had a lot more time to work off of each other and actually worked off each other well.
Yeah, which is great that they did, for the character that wasn't going to be in Halloweentown 3.
I think that's kind of my one big problem with the movie is, again, I just find it very bizarre that we don't get... I get the reason why we don't see a lot of Halloweentown, but at the same time, it just feels kind of weird that we spend like 30 minutes in a house. Like, we just spend a lot of time in just the same two locations.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot. It's kind of it's my one thing over the second movie with the original, is that at least with the original, we get a lot of different sets and characters. Here we just get like 3.
Yeah, but Halloweentown 2, they were able to achieve a genuine creepiness with the Pleasantville Halloweentown, because I just find that I will always find like desaturated, monotonous people, almost like depressed Stepford wives, always I'm a sucker for that kind of uncomfortable feeling. Like, and near the end, it just feels fucking hopeless, and I love it. They did a great job in those scenes.
Oh yeah, no, it's also, I love the scene where we find out that Cal is the villain. Well, the characters find out Cal's the villain, because there's the pumpkin in the center of town turns into a giant brick cube, and his face appears on the cube and basically exposition dumps the two main characters.
Yeah.
And the effect on that is pretty good for the time, for a TV movie, for the time that was made. The effect on that is pretty good, the way they did the face on the cube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really well done. Like, the things that they do, because you can tell that with this movie that they had to take a back step with some of the stuff, simply because I don't think their budget was as big for this one as the first one.
Actually, let me check that.
Or they basically decided, hey, we're going to concentrate our budget into these moments and make them really good instead of trying to overextend throughout. And I feel like they achieve it, because they with what they did it pretty damn well for a TV movie.
I'm trying to see the budget. Yeah, no, I can't find the budget for the second one, but I would assume it was probably around like $4 or $5 million, probably the same.
Yeah, but they did a really good job with making a good looking second movie, especially since it went such a different direction. And the moments where they did have makeup and stuff looked really, really nice. But
I like that it's not just masks. Like, in some of the makeup in the first movie is literally just like a big rubber mask they put on someone.
Yeah. This one is a lot more ambitious when they have the moments of like makeup and stuff. But I also, again, the performance of Cal is just delightful. He is having the time of his life.
I was kind of half and half on him for a while because I thought his delivery was very inconsistent, but I think it's during it's once we get to the second act, I think he gets a lot better, because when he first shows up, his acting is pretty it's not until he's about to put his plan in motion that I think his acting picks up a lot more.
When his acting picks up, he becomes the villain from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Just like full.
I wouldn't go. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far with Hammy. I wouldn't go that far.
I'm talking about with genius, Michael. With genius.
Oh! I thought you were talking cheese. I was like, nah, I wouldn't go that far.
I love the villain in Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh, I love the villain in Shark Boy and Lava Girl too, but I was saying in terms of cheese acting, no, I wouldn't go that far with Cal.
No, I'm just talking about that you can tell that the person's having a great time playing up.
Oh no, he was having a lot of fun. You could tell he was.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't blame him. If I had the role of a bad guy in a Disney Channel magical movie, I'd be having the time of my life. But he was definitely a more fun villain to watch than Emperor Palpatine in the first movie.
Emperor Palpatine Calabar, Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo. Kokomo. Emperor Kokomo.
Emperor Kokomo.
I will say, I'm sad that they didn't do more with the siblings. Because I feel like...
Yeah, they kind of... They sidelined the fuck out of them in the second movie.
Yeah, especially since the first movie, the resolution is them coming together as a family in their powers. And yes, the siblings do help make the permanent portal to Halloweentown, which is like their acknowledgement that...
And they do fly on a broomstick. They do fly on a broomstick.
Yeah, but it's still just the thing of like, I found the potential of, like, my favorite character in these movies growing up was always Dylan. Because I always found, like, he had, like, such potential to be a great foil to Marnie, in that he's the one with the unrecognized talent, but he just has it, kind of thing. Meanwhile, Marnie's training for it. I feel like I would have rathered Dylan come in with Luke and Marnie to try to find the spell book and stuff, because I feel like just having that foil that is so grounded in reality when everything is Pleasantville.
Well, yeah, I think he was the funniest character in the first movie because he was the realist.
Yeah, like, there's something really hilarious about a person who has magical powers but is grounded in reality that he probably would not be perturbed by the Pleasantville Halloweentown. I feel like that would have been a great foil, and it wasn't utilized, but they don't really utilize Dylan at all following the first Halloweentown. They barely use Sophie either, but like... Oh,
Sophie, I'd argue he gets more sidelined than she does, because she at least has a couple extra things to do in the movie, but him in particular, well, again, they throw away the fact that he can even use magic in the second movie.
Which is bullshit. He's the one warlock in the family.
And honestly, a warlock is a way cooler title.
Yeah, like, I just find it that I would have loved if we had if Chrissy made Halloweentown, right? I would have loved
yeah, let's go back to this idea if we were going to do a sequel.
Yes. Okay, so I feel like if I would love to do a Halloweentown sequel where the establishing, like, opening is, because at this point everyone's grown up, right? Like, you know, Marnie.
Yeah, all of them are in their 30s.
All of them are in their 30s, or maybe for Sophie, her late 20s. And they're all, like, on the phone with each other, coordinating, seeing each other for Halloween, and they're all just casually using magic around their house. So you don't need to fully establish, like, oh, here's a recap that they're witches and stuff. No, they use their magic at different levels. Like, Dylan's using it to help pack and clean up the house. Sophie's doing it to just do her... Maybe Sophie is, like, one of those, like, young self-employed people, so she's using it to, like have her own baking company and something, so she's lifting shit in the air and everything. And Marnie's the actual, like, taking the place of Debbie and being an actual witch.
Yeah.
which I think would be a great establishing thing. And then them having to come together and use their magic together in one cohesive way to like bring everything back. Plus,
Calabar's grandfather is the villain.
Calabar's grandfather.
Calabar's grandfather.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the organic thing would probably be, because if we're just acknowledging the first two movies, we can just say that the portal to the monster world has been open for years now, and things have assimilated, but there's probably pushback to that. Just realistically, the real world's not going to accept monsters just...
No, the real world would not accept that. There'd be too many fucking people that would not accept monsters existing in our world.
Yeah, and I feel like there could also be the concept of, because the magic world has been opened up for so long, there are people getting magical abilities or being able to access magic when they couldn't previously. Like, I feel
like... literally what happens, also what happens in the third season of Korra.
Yeah, I mean, Korra has a good blueprint, what can I say? But it's also just a thing of like, you know, it's like Onward, right? Like how so some kind of mishmash of those concepts I think would work well, but I feel like if I were to make a Halloweentown sequel, I would want to acknowledge that all of them can use magic, but they use them in different ways. Like, self-gain, moderate casual use, so that way you're still grounded in reality, and then full-blown Debbie Reynolds.
I am curious as to how they would do Debbie Reynolds now that she's passed away. I feel like they would just I'd say they should get rid of her character, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like that's what me saying Marnie would take the place of just Debbie being the most powerful one of the group, because if we were to say that this is actually a full sequel, it would make sense, like how Egon is dead in Ghostbusters Afterlife, because, well, Harold Ramis is dead. But it's an adequate amount of time that you could be like, yeah, someone would die when they're like in their 80s, and Debbie and Agatha just passed away. So it's not like impossible to believe that if they appear like they are adults now.
My idea, I kind of want to work off your blueprint, because I was thinking something similar of them. Like, if we're going to act like the other two movies didn't happen, I would say the biggest problem would be finding a way to organically fit an antagonist, unless we want to bring Cal back. Because that's what I was thinking, because if he's not going to be in the other two movies, we might as well bring him back if he's not dead.
What if Cal got a cult over the course of things happening, like with the monster?
Do you think Disney would have the balls to do a cult in a Halloween movie?
I mean, like, maybe don't use the word cult, but like
a gathering or something like that.
Like Cal has become basically like a legend kind of thing, and you have like this group of like, because I'm imagining, you know, this movie is going to be for a family audience, so you just have like a group of like little monster kids and actual like tween kid people. They're meeting up in the forest, they're talking spooky stories and stuff, you know, like kids with their Ouija boards and all that shit.
Yeah.
And they're doing something to summon Cal, and the vines come back up and Cal comes back to life, kind of thing. Like, it's cheesy, but I feel like it works in this kind of universe.
Because it's one of those things where I don't know why, there's something in me that feels like they'd need to have... I don't know, for a reboot for me, I feel like they'd need to have like an extra guest star or maybe a villain of some kind, like an extra side character.
Yeah.
I don't know, the new mayor of Halloweentown, played by Robert Englund, I don't know.
I feel like if they had no, the new mayor's played by Thomas Lennon.
Why Thomas Lennon?
I don't know. I mean, imagine his sheriff in Reno 911 as a mayor of magic. It'd be great.
I want Patton Oswalt from Reno 911. He's just doing Dungeons and Dragons games.
Oh, that'd be
and live action role play.
But I mean, like, imagine if like Marnie in this time-skipped universe became a teacher, and she teaches like magic and magic and Halloweentown history to, you know, actual mortals here in the human world, because the worlds are connected. She caused it. And like there are there are students who are like listening to the stuff about Calabar and everything, gets fascinated and tries to study up more on Calabar and causes it to come back. Or at least Calabar's magic.
I feel like Calabar should have come back. I don't like, because he got trapped in the scepter. There's something in me that just feels like, I don't know. I think he should come back as a character.
Yeah, so maybe a student of Marnie, or so that way we can have the younger character, like a student of Marnie. I don't want it to be Marnie's kid. I feel like Marnie. So,
but what, make it what, like one of the Hammer Dracula movies? There's just like somebody who followed Calabar's like wisdoms or something, finds the scepter like at the bottom of a well, and like just breaks it open and frees him or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like that could happen after so many years. Is that there's, you know, history repeats itself. Some people don't learn their lessons, or they weren't. There's enough years that happened between Calabar's defeat and now, that there are people who don't understand just how bad Calabar was and doesn't.
Or we could add to the fact that it's been so long, everybody's fucking forgot about him. Like just a faded memory. He's not even a legend. Like, just nobody remembers him.
I mean, that would make Calabar even more mad, is that no one knows who he was. So he's like, wait, you guys aren't afraid of me? Who are you? Kielbasa?
Literally like Kai from Kung Fu Panda 3. Like, nobody knows who he is. Like,
yeah, and you know what? Honestly, that would probably be a great setup to show how powerful he is, and him being so mad. It's like, oh,
because they don't do anything with his magic, really, in the first movie. They say he's like a super powerful warlock, and he only ever does like 2 things in the entire movie, and they're not that impressive.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe if this hypothetical Candyman of a Halloweentown movie existed, is that he would have come back and he would be converting people. So he wouldn't be freezing people like he did in the first Halloweentown. He would be actively controlling them. Like brainwashing, mind control, possession kind of thing.
Like Amon and fucking Korra. We keep going back to Korra, and I'm not even meaning to. I just keep going back to Korra.
But I mean, like, it's also that I also imagine, like, he would probably give because if we're in this world where magic and monsters exist in relation with the mortal world, if we make it that mortals can somehow access magic through outside means, like talismans and all this shit, like, it's fully possible that he could just be like, do you want to be powerful? Because people are easily seduced by the concept of power. And if you know that magic in your world fucking exists, you're going to want power. And he uses that to get control of people. So,
and he looks like Palpatine, and he looks like Palpatine the whole time he does it.
Yes.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Honestly,
is it possible to learn this power?
Palpatine, when he comes back, because he's been in the scepter for so long, make him decrepit the entire time.
Is it possible to learn this power? Not from a witch.
But yeah, I feel like that could work. And I also feel like if we want to keep some interpersonal stuff, so it's not just, you know, fighting Calabar, I also think there needs to be some kind of like schism between the family members, in that they just grew apart over the years. And the only thing that they have with each other is the fact that they all have magical abilities, but again, they kind of have a gradient in what they use with it. Like, you know, Dylan just uses them casually just to get shit done. Sophie utilizes it in a self-vested interest way to forward herself, and Marnie actually has kind of like the more altruistic kind of thing of trying to teach it. Because I feel like that would just cause like this like good you know, conflict between them of like just values in general and how much they actually value the concept of magic, which is interesting given that, you know, that's such an integral part of their family history and literal blood. So I feel like that would be an interesting thing. I would love to see it. I just want Dylan to have more of a role. Give Dylan more spotlight, man.
Hashtag free Dylan.
Hashtag pipe up for Dylan. Like, I love Dylan. And Joey Zimmerman deserves more screen time because he is much more charismatic than people give him credit for. He has a good dry humor.
Actually, fun fact, when I was doing behind the scenes research on this movie, he was a huge fucking fan of the Ninja Turtles, but he did not talk to Judith Hoag about it until production wrapped.
Oh, that's so respectful.
Well, that's why he did it. He literally said in an interview, the reason I never brought it up to her was because I didn't want to be bothering her every day about Ninja Turtles, so I just waited for the final day of shooting, and then I unloaded like every fucking question I ever had.
What a good man. Good boy, Joey. I respect that. I respect that.
Let's contact Joey Zimmerman. Let's get him on the next episode. We'll talk about Halloweentown High.
Yes, we'll talk about Halloweentown High. No, you know what? We'll talk about the 90s Ninja Turtles movie, and then we'll have a discussion.
Yes! We'll talk about the 90s Ninja Turtles movie.
We'll talk about the 90s Ninja Turtles, and then we'll have the discussion of if we could make our own Ninja Turtles, what would we do? That should be at the end of
Joey Zimmerman will be Red Letter Media, will be our Red Letter Media to Macaulay Culkin. He will be our Macaulay Culkin.
Exactly. Joey Zimmerman, we know you're watching these two talking heads. Please.
I wonder, now that we're talking about this, I legitimately wonder if he has like a Twitter or something or a website.
I mean, like, there's only one way to find out.
If this is him, yeah, he has an Instagram. Dr. J. Paul Zimmerman. That's badass. His name is Dr. Zimmerman. Yeah, his name is Dr. Zimmerman.
That's amazing. Oh my god. Doctor, please come on our show.
He looks like this now. I'm gonna put this in general. I confirmed it's him. His Instagram says, "I was that kid in Halloweentown."
That's a great bio.
Yeah, that's what he looks like now.
Wow, that is different.
Weird, creepy emo guy. I was in Halloweentown. That's his profile.
You know, I can look at this guy and believe that he was in Halloweentown. I fully believe that, but please, Dr. Zimmerman, please, come on our show. We could talk about turtles.
If that'd be, honestly, I don't know. I think that'd be really cool if we got someone who's actually from one of the movies we talked about on here to talk about another movie.
We could talk about turtles, and you could tell us what you would want if you could make a turtle movie. It's like fan fiction, but real.
And we're doing all this in the first episode. Like, this is gonna be the biggest fucking thing ever. We're gonna get Joey Zimmerman. We're gonna do an episode where we're gonna talk about the 90s Ninja Turtles movie, and we're gonna have him on it.
Exactly. But you know what?
And we are not going to talk about the movie until we get Joey Zimmerman.
Exactly. We will never talk about the Ninja Turtles until we get Joey Zimmerman on the show. We should end every episode of Cinema Gremlins with Joey Zimmerman.
Hashtag get Joey Zimmerman. No, don't harass. No one harass Joey Zimmerman.
Please don't
fucking harass him.
Please don't harass Dr. Zimmerman, please. But yeah, I think Halloweentown 2 is a fun watch. I would say still has like a similar amount of cheese as the first Halloweentown, but I have a lot of fun watching it every year. It's a Halloween tradition. To me, it's a good build up from the first one. So it does what a sequel should try to achieve.
I would be interested to watch that with like a group of people at some point. I don't know if I'd regularly watch it every year, but I would probably watch it with a group of people.
I think both of the first two Halloweentown movies are good social gathering movies. But yeah, I think this is a great place to end off and leave the Cineplex. I think Debbie Reynolds' spirit is satiated with our opinions of her hit movies.
Am I allowed to leave? Poster, can I leave?
Well,
it's not.
Sure. Leave! Leave! Leave this place!
Oh God!
Michael! Michael, wait up! Michael!
I'm not gonna follow you.